This is the engine compartment of a 65 Plymouth Valiant two-door sedan that I had a lot of body work done and painted, and engine compartment was pristine, so I converted to a dual master cylinder and a hydraulic clutch while I had all of this out. You can see it's pretty clean in there, so I'm going to show you some pictures of the pieces and how I did it. I decided to use the hole where the speedometer had previously come through, and there was a plastic grommet there. I was trying to not make any more holes in the dashboard than I had to, or minimal amount of modifications. You can see that spot worked out pretty good. It's right there, kind of in line with everything else, and the geometry seemed to work pretty well from the inside. That red marking is where I originally thought I would put the clutch hole, and I just didn't want to cut into that reinforcing ridge in the firewall. I had some old steel plate lying around literally from some old shelves that I had in my office, and I cut the holes for the master cylinder and the clutch cylinder into this piece, and it matches the holes in the firewall. You notice on the where the clutch slave attaches, there's a lip that I felt like that lip would be really good for making that plate really stiff right there, and seemed to work out really well. So that's what that is. I converted to a 2-post master cylinder from the old 4-post style that most of those cars had in that day, just because I found this adapter plate and it seemed to work really well and made it easy to make corrections and repairs and things in the future. So that's the aluminum adapter plate lined up on the plate that I made. I had all the pedal parts powder coated. It looked really cool, and here it is kind of mocked up on the 4 posts that come through the firewall that come from the support that goes between the firewall and the dashboard. Just kind of marking up the pieces and seeing how they fit. You can see in the lower right there's that adapter plate that I'm going to use a more modern master cylinder for the brakes. Here's a really good shot of it all kind of mocked up and bolted together. I even have the push rod installed in the clutch slave cylinder. That's how it's all kind of work under the dash and under the hood. Last step before I kind of put it all in. This is how it looks up under the dash, where the push rod for the clutch master cylinder and the brake master cylinder come in. The brake master cylinder lines right up and everything worked perfectly. The clutch, I had to do some finagling. I had to take some angle iron and make a bracket that pushed on with the right angles and everything. It was a little bit of work. I hope I have some pictures of that. I don't know that I took those pictures, but you can see where the clutch connecting point is and where the push rod is. I might have to work out something there. Here it is all put together, all bolted up to the firewall, and I think it came out pretty neat. I'm pretty happy with the way it looked. I discovered a bearing retainer that fits the small iron case early 833 input bearing, and the large circle on the aluminum later 4-speed bell housing from like a Volare or something. This is a close-up of the casting number. This is the kind of hydraulic throwout bearing that slides over that the clutch, the early style throwout bearing. The one on the right is the old throwout bearing. The one on the input shaft retainer is the new hydraulic retainer. There's another picture of it from the side. You can see how it fits. There's actually a newer piece that you can buy from McLeod that lifts that up another maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch or something, so that the throwout bearing doesn't have to go so far out. There's a threaded adjustment inside there, but it doesn't really go far enough for it's clear out at the edge of its throw. So I think when I take my clutch out next month and get ready for spring racing season, I'm going to buy that at like a $60 adapter that pushes that throwout bearing out another, I guess it's about 3/4 of an inch. That's all I got. Maybe I'll take some more pictures later, or see how I finished up the plumbing and how I plumbed it all together. I actually plumbed the breather, I mean that breather, the bleeder for the clutch up next to the clutch master cylinder, so I didn't have to get under the car to bleed it. It bleeds right up on the top. The only thing that's bad about that is I was at a race and thought I had air in my clutch line, and so I popped that thing open to see if I could get air bubble out of it, and it shot me right in the face. So be aware that don't point those things in where it might shoot you in the face. Anyway, I will. Like I said, I'll shoot some pictures of the plumbing and how I plumbed it all, but that's how it all kind of went together.